I gotta tell you something right now, so get in your seat and now take a bow, cause we gotta go and start the flick off to the shelf to pick. Oh, we have a show to put on your screen. Trust me now, cause my work's pristine. It's time to critique a classic movie. Let's have some fun and make it groovy. It's movie criticisms of movies. Yeah, I said 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 it's... Hello everyone, Evan&AudreyS here. Before I start this video, I want to pay a quick tribute and celebration for something that happened very recently in my family. My cousin's wedding. Yep, it was very lovely to be there last month. Well, actually, it was a couple of months ago, but anyway, the point is, it was very beautiful. There was a lot of chemistry, lots of love, and best of all, lots and lots of ice cream. Yeah! Ice cream, you scream. We love our ice cream. Sorry, we just love our ice cream here. Anyway, in today's episode of Movie Critisims, I will also be paying tribute to the recent release of James Cameron's new movie, Avatar: Fire and Ash. But I guess you're wondering, who the heck is James Cameron anyway? Well, let me explain. James Cameron is a Canadian film director and producer. While he has become almost synonymous with the Avatar movies, it's easy to forget that he has directed other blockbusters too. Not only are so many of them pretty darn good, but they also tend to consistently succeed financially. Heck, his 1997 romantic drama film Titanic was actually the very first movie ever to earn $1 billion at the box office. How wild is that, huh? But in recent years, some people claim that Cameron nowadays seems to place way too much of his directing attention and focus on the Avatar films. They don't like that because those same movies are highly regarded as incredibly generic and unoriginal, despite having some of the most groundbreaking effects to ever appear in the digital cinema era. So, how exactly will I be celebrating James Cameron, Well, I thought I'd do the simple route and give my choices for the top 5 best... Wait, what was that? Oh, really? Oh my gosh! There are only 9 James Cameron movies before this new release, which means I can't do a top 5 best and worst video. Oh my gosh. What are you gonna... Wait a minute. Maybe I can do a top best and worst video. This would be the top 4 best and worst James Cameron movies. Duh, the solution was simple from the get-go. Well, okay, so now this is going to be a countdown video for my picks for the top 4 best and worst James Cameron movies. Before I begin this video though, the countdown that is, I think I should give you some criteria to answer the question, what counts as a James Cameron movie? The biggest criteria here is that James Cameron has to be the movie's director. In other words, he cannot be just a screenwriter or producer. Also, I will not be counting James Cameron's early short films, just his official feature-length movies. Okay, so with that all said, let's start out by giving my picks for the top 4 worst James Cameron movies. Number 4. True Lies. This 1994 action comedy film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Harry Tasker, an anti-terrorist agent pretending to be a mild-mannered computer hardware salesman. He is currently trying to recover some stolen nuclear weapons from a terrorist organization when he is suddenly caught up in a love triangle between him, his wife Helen, and a man Helen meets named Simon. Helen is leaning more towards Simon because, according to her, her life with Harry lacks adventure. In order to make things up to his wife, Harry decides to give Helen her own little adventure by tricking her into tagging along with him for the ride on his personal, top-secret mission to track down the terrorists. Out of every James Cameron production, True Lies is probably the easiest to digest mentally. This is a very, very fun and fast food action movie. For that reason, I honestly don't have a lot to say about it. But if I had to have just one big problem with True Lies, it would have to be some of the editing. You see, even though the film editing is solid for the most part, it does sometimes suffer when transitioning from scene to scene. Like, one such example is after a chase scene with Schwarzenegger riding a horse. That's when the movie abruptly cuts to the next scene. All in all, True Lies is one of the most digestible 90s movies ever in my opinion. Number 3. The Terminator. In the year 2029, Earth has become a dystopian wasteland at war with an army of evil cyborgs, robots, and AI systems, all led by the organization Skynet. In an attempt to defeat humanity, Skynet sends one of their cyborgs, the T-800, back in time to the year 1984 to track down and kill a woman named Sarah Connor. Sarah needs to die because Skynet knows that she will soon give birth to John Connor, who will eventually become the leader of the Anti-Machine Rebellion. Aware that Sarah is vital to the rebellion's success, a rebel named Kyle Reese is also sent back to 1984 on his own mission to save her from the T-800. But will he succeed, or is humanity doomed? Now, I am fully aware that this movie has its fans. Heck, even a few members of my own family actually love it. However, I'm so sorry, but I personally just cannot get that into it. The biggest crime that this movie commits is that it failed to make me care about its main conflict. Like, I wasn't too fussed if the T-800 kills Sarah Connor. Not because I'm a cold, heartless person, but because she feels like a complete stranger to me. Aside from seeing that she is a waiter at a restaurant, we get to learn nothing about her. Plus, she doesn't have enough of a likable personality to compensate for this lack of interest. Same thing with Kyle Reese. Sure, he does sometimes show a bit of romantic chemistry with Sarah, but for the most part, he's primarily just acting as a bodyguard for her. Also like Sarah, Kyle lacks the charisma that's needed to make a male hero appealing. Now, I can totally imagine some audiences getting a little upset with me, because they know that if Sarah Connor gets killed, then pretty much all of humanity will become machine enslaved, and that makes me an inhuman monster, because I don't care, right? Now hold on there. I genuinely do care about the fate of the human race. I mean, it would be a total nightmare for me and all of us if we were all mind-controlled by robots. Ugh. But, I'm so sorry, but I just don't care about our main conflict. Oh, and it's not just because of our main heroes. Some could argue that the prolonged fate of mankind makes up for Sarah and Kyle. But it really doesn't, because, hate to say it, but much like Sarah and Kyle, the rest of the world are largely composed of people I do not even know or even like to some degree. Why should I give a flying crap? Okay, so in the end, the original Terminator movie may have some pretty excellent special effects and an intimidating main villain, but it really lacks the urgency and characters that are required to get me truly invested in its main story. Number 2. The Abyss. According to David Gannon from IMDb.com, when the crew of an underwater oil rig are enlisted to assist in the rescue of an American nuclear submarine at the height of the Cold War, they discover a strange and mysterious force living in the deep, and their rescue mission becomes an adventure into the wonders and the unknown. Much like the Terminator, this movie's biggest weakness is its main characters. None of them are anywhere near actually interesting. But what places The Abyss above the first Terminator are two moments during the film's final act. You see, after an underwater fight with the treacherous team member Hiram Coffey, female member Lindsay Brigham decides to potentially sacrifice her own life in order to get her estranged husband Bud to safety. Once Bud and Lindsay are back at HQ, Lindsay initially seems to have died, but only a few minutes later turns out she isn't. In the second scene I want to discuss, Bud is sent to disarm a nuclear weapon located very deep in the ocean, so deep that it could potentially kill Bud if he stays there for too long. As soon as Bud manages to deactivate the bomb, it seems like all hope is lost for him. However, when it seems like Bud is gone, it is revealed that he was rescued by a swarm of glowing underwater creatures that Lindsay saw earlier in the film. Now, while I will give the movie credit for foreshadowing the glowing creatures coming to the rescue, I really don't like how the Abyss essentially gives us not one, but two fake deaths. I'm sorry, but I think the film can only have one of those or the other, not both. The Abyss is yet another okay James Cameron film that may have some pretty beautiful colorful effects from the underwater creatures, but seriously lacks consistency and character work. Number 1. Piranha 2: The Spawning. This first sequel to the 1978 disaster movie Piranha features an ensemble cast of characters who have to defend a Caribbean resort called Hotel Elysium from a swarm of evil, man-eating piranhas that can actually fly from the water. Yeah, I think you all knew that this would be my top pick for the worst, but come on, can you really blame me? This is one terrible, cheap-looking movie. One of Piranha 2's biggest problems is that, again, it looks so cheap, with some truly awful special effects and horrific editing. The post-production of Piranha 2 is not the only aspect of it that stinks, though. A huge majority of the actors, even the grown-ups, range from mediocre to downright bad. But one plot-related issue with this movie is one plot twist that happens in the middle of the film. You see, we soon learn that tourist Tyler Sherman is actually a biochemist working with the team who helped create the evil piranhas. This twist doesn't work because Piranha 2 never hints at Tyler being a villain before his eventual reveal. So what we got was just a cheap, pointless audience shocker. So yeah, I'm not going to waste any more time here. Piranha 2 truly sucks as a feature-length movie. In fact, James Cameron himself actually disliked the final product so much that he ended up disowning it. So it's no surprise at all that it turned out to be the worst James Cameron film to date. So, those are my choices for the top 4 worst James Cameron movies. Next week, I'll be giving my picks for the 4 best James Cameron movies. But until then, I'm Evan J. Sims, signing out. Peace!